Hello, my little starlings. How are you? Today I'm going to be showing you a little bit of a sneak peek at something I have planned for next year. If you've been around for a while, it'll be a little familiar to you. You may even recognize the drawing in the bottom right-hand corner here. But the new direction I'm going to be taking for a series I started back when I first started this channel is going to be more along the lines of using VTube models instead of cosplay and showing my face. And for that, of course, I need to make some models. So today I'm going to show you the process of drawing out the face and hair of this lovely dragon character named Opal. This week I didn't quite have enough time to finish her outfit, so for now we'll just be looking at her overall character design without the clothes. I'm starting out with a base that I made myself since I realized I'm going to be making a lot of models for this project, and it will streamline my process even just a tiny bit if I already have a body base to use. With VTubing models like this one, every individual piece that moves has to be drawn on a separate layer as a separate chunk. So with the base, the body and the head are separate, but when I go in and draw her outfit later, I will have to cut apart the different parts of her torso and chest and arms, so that way when she breathes, like I do here, see, it'll look natural, and so she can turn to the side like this. I might throw my model up. And in order to do that, I need a lot of pieces. So you will see me here drawing a bunch of individual chunks. Right now I'm just putting in a guideline for myself for her eyes. You can see up at the top here I have an overall view of the picture, so I can kind of look over there at a glance and get a sense for what she looks like as a whole, even while I'm working here in these super close-up tiny details. I like to use softer colors for line art sometimes, and I think especially for this character it's really important. Her name is Opal, and she is going to be the RA, which I believe stands for Resident Assistant. At uni we just call them RAs, but basically they're the student on your floor when you live in a dorm who's responsible for all of you, basically. If you get locked out, or if you have a question about something, especially as you're a freshman, the RA is the person who will help you. And Opal definitely takes her job very seriously, but she's also a real sweetheart. So, because of her name and because of that personality of hers, I definitely wanted a softer look to her. That said, she is also, as I mentioned, a dragon, which involves a lot of sharper elements. And so here I'm playing with maybe adding lashes, and I decided I liked the eye shape I have already. But part of the process of moving over from formerly cosplay and now models is I can do a lot more with the character design, like giving her these dark eyes, for example. I don't wear colored contacts, and so giving myself these deep brown, almost black whites of my eyes, I believe the word is sclera? I don't know. Doing that just isn't feasible for me if I were to physically embody this character. But with models, I can be anything I like. So I definitely had fun with that and adopting and adapting her character design to sort of embrace the freedom that this new style will be giving me. I did, of course, keep her key featuristics, like her long pink hair that's pulled back at the top, the pretty blue eyes, and the scales across her face. You can see a little bit of the old design in this longer panel here that I'm using mostly for color picking and reference. I also had a new picture I drew of her in a sketchbook on my desk while I was working on this. So every once in a while I'll pause like this, and either I'm playing with the layers here behind my ear, or I'm looking at that sketch and trying to figure out how to transfer it into digital. I'm planning on relaunching the Menagerie series entirely, starting over with Opal and having her welcome you to the dorms and give you sort of the rundown. The script will be very similar to what it was before, but I'm sure I'll make little adjustments here and there. Now, this is probably a project that's not gonna come together until next spring, I would guess. Mostly because rigging these models takes forever. And I rigged the model I'm using right now, this one, in a sort of fugue 2-week mania kind of state. It was the only thing I did outside of when I was working, obviously, but every waking moment. Sorry if there's a weird cut there. We had a really loud car outside. But basically every waking moment for the 2 weeks that I worked on Ophelia was spent on Ophelia. And that's not feasible. Especially not for the number of characters in Menagerie. As you can probably guess from the title and the fact that Opal here is a dragon, all of these characters are, monsters of some sort or mythological creatures. Those of you who are, OGs will know we have a dragon, a vampire, a fae, and there are more. I don't want to spoil it too much, but I really sat down and just tried to think of every mythological creature I could that I wanted to play. So it's a large cast. I think there are 6 or 7 of them. Maybe 8, I'm not sure. But each of them will need their own model, and potentially, if I learn the trade well enough, they might even have alternate outfits. That's a lot of work. And I'm very, very excited about this project and being able to showcase these original characters and perform in a way that I think is unique to this channel. I don't think anyone else that I know of is really doing this. A lot of people obviously have connected series with a bunch of different characters. Goodnight Moon is an obvious and amazing example of this. I love her fantasy series. Menagerie was definitely inspired by that series, and even just series like Chibi's ongoing Daisy series. But I think the way I'm putting this together, and I am so excited to show it all to you, I think it's unique. Hopefully you guys will really like Opal and really like the characters to follow. I can't wait to see who everybody's favorites are, and just I'm just so excited to make original characters and show them off like this. This series really lets me combine a lot of my hobbies of, writing and creating characters and struggling to figure out how my fill tool works. The program I'm using is Krita, or it might be Krita. It's Krita. It's a free art program, which is nice, except that I have no idea how to use it. But like I said, this is a hobby, and I don't want to invest a whole bunch of money or pay this huge subscription fee to Adobe or whatever, when there are free resources like this that really work, even if it takes some fiddling around, and even if I'm maybe underqualified to use them. I'm very self-taught, so I'm just making it up as I go. But the Menagerie series allows me to combine hobbies like this, drawing and making and rigging models and writing plot lines, and then acting and voice acting and performing characters. So I hope it does well, and I hope you'll be looking forward to it. It's really funny how different a character looks when you take the back hair off of them. You can kind of see in that upper preview window there, and now that I've zoomed out, but just the dramatic difference between Opal with her hair down and Opal without the hair. So, maybe we can imagine up in a ponytail. She looks like a completely different character. It's so funny. Here I struggle for a while. This footage is obviously quite sped up because this is a speed draw, but I think drawing that little hair bumpy situation probably took me a good 15-20 minutes to figure out what I wanted to do with it. And I realized around here that the way I had the hair folding over was not the same on both sides, and I had to fix that. Opal basically has all of the long hair that would be in the front of her face pulled back over her head and in a ponytail in the back. So you get this sort of strange looking, when you isolate it like this, almost seashell sort of shape. And whenever I selected an area, it would only fill in like an opaque selection, and I had to refill it over and over. I haven't had that happen before, and I don't know what setting I changed that made it do that, but it was happening with my usual brushes. It's very cool to see it all start to come together once you add in the shading, because when you're just putting down the flats, those basic colors, just that medium level pink I have there, it really does look flat. That's why they say that, But once you start adding in all of the highlights and the shades, it suddenly takes on a whole lot of dimension, which you'll see again in her face here in a moment when I get in and start putting on all of her face scales and adding in the hair shadows. But first, we of course have to add in her horns. Opal has 2 pairs of horns. I had some trouble deciding whether they should go in front of the hair or in what layer between all of the hair they should be. I also made a little mistake here, and I'll fix it in a minute, of accidentally using the lightest color, which should be the highlight, for the base, and then I had to go in right there and fix it. I'm taking bits and pieces of her original color palette, but then adapting them a little bit here and there, so that way the new art is all cohesive. It's really cool to see just how far my art style has evolved and like my talents have grown, even just since I drew this original picture of Opal here in I want to say 2020. It might have been 2021. But you know, it was over a year ago for sure. And even just since then, I mean, I really like this new version of her much better. I feel like it's a lot closer to what I envisioned in my head for her when I was originally drawing this lower picture here. It is a dramatically different style, which is really funny. But you know, sometimes the things you like change and you shift around, shift your directions. And I think particularly for a model that's supposed to move like this, and for what viewers expect, and for the kind of tone I want to go for with the Menagerie series, to have this sort of yeah, I guess I'll say it. It's based on otome games, like dating sims. Then that's going to be a core part of it. And I think to match that kind of vibe, you definitely want to go a little bit more anime and a little bit less realistic. I wouldn't necessarily say that my new style is totally anime either, but it's definitely more cartoony and animated than the more realistic-ish proportions that I was going for before. As I've mentioned, we are not going to get to her outfit today, but she does still have her very cute blue sweater vest, which will match these scales, and I'm adding highlights and shadows to them now to give them all this depth, and all of a sudden they look way more magical just with that little airbrushing touch. I did play around with the idea of giving her some kind of eye makeup like I have on here, but I just couldn't find something that looked right. I tried it with the pink, and I zoom in and out and try to get a good look at how it looks on her face. I went with the blue, which is more of Opal's sort of signature color. A lot of times when we look at characters and we try to guess, like imagine a color that we pair with them, we tend to base it on their hair, if they're these fantastical characters like this. But I would say that even though she has a lot of pink in her hair design, Opal's signature color is more of this pretty tealy blue. And I love this color, obviously. And I definitely love this color combination as well. I promise that the other characters are not all pink and blue. It's just that for a dragon named Opal, these were the only colors I could use, you know? The vampire character is a lot more reds and blacks, of course, and the fae character is a lot of greens, but also a lot of autumn tones. They have reds and lots of golds and oranges across their face, and the deep red hair, but green clothing to give that sort of druidy, foresty vibe. I'll be really interested to see how I end up converting everybody into this digital format and how they all come out. But for now, we've just got our lovely dragon lady, and I think she came out amazing. you can see what a difference even just a little bit of hair shadow and shadow around the eyes and the nose really added. But of course we cannot forget her glasses. I did a little trick with a lower, like more transparent brush for the actual glass in her glasses, and I'm hoping that that will transfer over when I move her into the rigging program, and that it will be a bit more see-through, so that way maybe we can, move her glasses up her nose if she moves a certain way, and you'll still see her eyes underneath. I'm gonna have to figure all of that out further down in the process. But I add some highlights on a different layer, and the highlights in the eyes are also on a different layer, so that way I can move her around and have the light move as well. But here she is. This is Opal, everybody. I will be adding in her outfit later and then getting to work on slowly rigging her. I'll keep you all updated, but I can't wait to introduce you guys to her and see how you like her. Thanks for joining me today and listening to me just kind of ramble about upcoming projects and the things I'm excited about. I love making things, and so I am thrilled and very eager to get to make this and share it with you guys. I'm also thinking about maybe streaming a little bit. I'm not sure if I would put it here because I'm not sure I can guarantee it'd be ASMR. I have a very fussy, very elderly cat, and a lot of cuts in my videos are her meowing quite loudly and interrupting the shoot, so I can't promise that if we were live I could keep her quiet. But let me know if you'd be interested in watching me play something live, especially like My Singing Monsters. I'm really looking at that game. Or even just Sims or Stray would be a lot of fun too. Some of these I can also just record if you'd like to see me play them in like a softer context. I'm sorry if you hear all the cars outside. I don't know why. I think school is letting out now to break your immersion. Hopefully it's late where you are. But yeah, let me know what you'd be interested in seeing. And until next time, take care, everyone.